Good morning. Susan here. How y'all doing? Wanted to share with you this morning a 20-minute yoga practice. We as yoga teachers are always talking about the importance of a daily practice, and it is very, very important. But sometimes the thought of taking a 60 or 90-minute class or doing your own full practice is completely overwhelming and may not even be right for you and for that time of the year. So I wanted to kind of give you just a little bit of a gentler, restorative, and even invigorating practice. So get your yoga mat, get some comfy clothes on, yoga clothes, or maybe just sweatpants and t-shirt, and let's practice. So we're going to start this morning in child's pose, and this is an active child's pose. The knees are the width of the mat, and you're just going to kind of drape your body forward. Arms are shoulder distance width, and the forehead comes to rest on the mat. Now, for a lot of us, we might look kind of like this or like this. That's okay. If you need to get a pillow or a block, something to support, then please do so. But just do your best. And remember, there's no right or wrong yoga pose. There's only that which is safe and intuitive for you. So, just bring your body, let your torso kind of drape forward. And for today, just concern yourself with even inhalations and exhalations. Don't worry about Ujjayi pranayama or some other type of breathing technique. Just nice, even inhalations through the nose and out. And in and out. And each time, kind of surrendering your body, letting your armpits kind of drape towards the mat, maybe working out the kinks and shifting and moving around. 2 more breaths in. Hands are active and shoulder blades retract down the spine. Last breath in and out. And then slowly make your way to hands and knees or tabletop pose. And you can start with your hands underneath your shoulders or walk them a little bit forward. And then begin to curl your toes under. And then lift your hips and come into a downward facing dog. Now if you have any sort of hand issues, you may want to drop to your forearms. Or you can always just stay in tabletop. But downward facing dog, the hands are shoulder distance width, the feet are hip distance width. The sitting bones are way up high, and your belly is engaged, so you draw the belly button in to support the sacrum and the lower lumbar. And just take 5 breaths, breathing in and out. Feel free to move the dog around if you need to stretch in and out. I like to bend my knees and tilt my sit bones way up high. 2 more breaths in and out, pressing evenly through the hands. Last breath and out. And then take lots of little baby steps. Just walk your feet right up to your hands. Nice and easy. And for some of you with tight hips, you might have to walk it out wider. That's okay. Separate your feet just underneath your hips. It's usually about 2 fist distance. And bend the knees a lot so you take the pressure out of the low back and come into a ragdoll. So hand to opposite elbow, hand to opposite elbow. And then just let your torso kind of hang. So we're using gravity here to lengthen and increase the intervertebral disc space. 2 more breaths. Just be here. Just feel it. Kind of surrender to it. 1 more breath in and out. And then release your hands down to the floor. With really deep bend in the knees, slowly begin to unroll and rebuild the spine. You can use your hands. And as you start to approach standing, sweep the arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, toe heel the feet together. And then come into mountain pose. And so mountain pose is very much like the Marine stance, head over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over ankle bones. There was an imaginary wall behind you. The back of your head, your shoulder blades, your buttocks, and your calves would all be touching that wall. And this is standing at attention. So just come in, find the pelvic floor and lift that in and up just a little bit. Engage through the core and just a baby chin tuck to kind of lengthen through the cervical spine. And take 5 breaths right here. Feel the feet. Connect with the ground beneath the feet. Engaging through and lifting the thighs. Softening through the heart and relaxing the shoulder blades down the back. 1 more breath. And now on an inhale, bend your knees and sweep your arms up and come up to what's known as chair pose. And for chair pose, it's very different for a lot of people. Don't worry about that. You're kind of starting to engage the major muscle groups of the legs. The knees, your shoulders, your head's over your shoulders, shoulders over hips. You don't want to hyperextend too much, so you want to keep that core involved. But relax the shoulders. Take it out of the head and the neck. 3 more breaths. In and out. Root through the feet. Sit a little deeper. And use the breath to kind of stoke up your internal fire. 1 more breath. And then as you exhale, bow forward. Bring your hands through heart center to minimize the stress on the low back. And then as you inhale, come up to a flat back position. So a flat back for a lot of us, the knees need to be really deeply bent. And this coccyx or the tailbone is reaching for the back wall and the crown of the head is reaching for the front of the wall. And then as you exhale, just step your left leg back to a long lunge. And just feel this. So the right knee is over the ankle bone. You're going to inhale and drop that left knee. And then exhale, just extend and lift it. Inhale, dropping the left knee. Exhale, lift and extend and engage that leg. 1 more. Inhale and exhale. And then go ahead and place that left foot down. Seal the left foot to the outer edge of the mat. And just start with your hands on your hips. So we're making our way to Warrior 1. But for a lot of us with low back issues, you just kind of want to make sure that your pelvic floor is scooped and you're drawing that right hip back and encouraging that left hip forward. And then once you're settled and your feet are nice and grounded, then go ahead and reach your arms up. Take 4 more breaths right here. Relax the shoulders. Two more breaths. Your gaze can be forward or up to the ceiling. Now take a full breath in, and then just exhale and open to Warrior 2. So Warrior 2, the hips are kind of facing the side wall. You're encouraging that left hip to open, and you're encouraging that right knee to open and stay tracking over that second toe. Kind of relax the shoulders, take it out of the neck, and just breathe. Look over your index finger or your middle finger and relax into it, deepen into the pose. 3 more breaths. Last breath. And then as you exhale, just cartwheel the hands down and step back to a down dog. So we're going to take 5 breaths. Just notice your body. Breath in and out. Breath in and out. Keep that belly engaged, pressing through the hands. You always want to work to have kind of a flat wrist here so that we're not putting pressure right where the carpal tunnel is. Last breath in. Last breath out. Now beginning with your left foot, begin to walk your feet up towards your hands. Separate the feet underneath the hips and come and hang in ragdoll again. Soften the knees. Take the tension out of the neck. Shift the hips so they're over the ankle bones. 3 breaths in and out. Feel the belly expand on the thighs. You might need to bend your knees more. That's okay. And out. Then let the hands dangle to the floor. And then slowly rebuild that spine once again. Feel all the articulations of the spine. Roll up. Reach the arms up. And then exhale, come back to mountain pose. So we're just going to repeat what we did on one side on the next. So just bend the knees, sweep the arms up, and feel the chair this time. So now you probably have a little heat going. So you might be able to go a little bit deeper. Encourage those arms to come back by the ears. Two more breaths. Smile. Last breath in, and then exhale, bow forward, empty. Inhale, come back up to that flat back position. Again, bend your knees if you need to, and then exhale, step the right leg back to a long runner's lunge. Check in with that left knee, making sure it's over the ankle bone. Inhale, drop the right knee, let it graze the ground. Exhale, extend. So you're real light on the fingertips here. Inhale. Exhale, you're going to feel this right in the front of that right hip flexor, maybe a little bit in the back hip. Exhale. Then go ahead and spin that foot down. Anchor, find both feet. Bring the hands to the hips, and then pressing through the feet, lift yourself up. You might need to reposition. That's okay. Nobody said this had to be stagnant. And then find, I have to really work Mula Bandha. I have to really work that pelvic tilt because I'm hypermobile. And then let those arms float up. 4 more breaths. You're kind of discovering your body through your breath and becoming aware of any little hitches in your giddy up that you might have. Take 1 more breath. And then open out to Warrior 2. Go ahead and check in with your alignment. And then relax. Root down with the mound under the big toe and the pinky toe. Activate that right inner thigh. And sink deep into the left one. 2 more breaths. Now fill the lungs. And as you exhale, cartwheel those hands down and step back to down dog. Feet are still hip width, hands are shoulder width, and you're pressing through the thumb, the index, and the middle finger. So the biceps kind of spiral a little bit forward. It retracts the shoulder blades down the back, and the crown of the head is reaching for the earth. Your biceps you're wanting them to surround your ears and kind of take some of that tension from all that forward motion that we do in our lives. Take it out of the neck and the shoulders. Now inhale, come into high push-up. Now I know in vinyasa we do a lot of this. We're going to modify this morning. So tops of the feet and the knees, but from the crown of the head to the coccyx is still in a diagonal line. So you're just going to engage the core here with elbows really tight to the ribs, lower all the way down. Bring the toes and the feet together. Slide the fingertips back about mid-rib level and really zip those legs up. Make them one leg. Pressing through the tops of the feet. Just working the inhale and the lift. So the tops of the feet are what are causing the upper body. We're strengthening the erector spinae. 3, Press through the feet, hug them together. 2, think length and extension. 1 more. And release. Now turn your gaze over your right shoulder and just take 2 resting breaths. In and out. And just kind of enjoy the fruits of your labor. Last breath. And bring your chin back center. So a variation of Shalambhasana or locust pose. Legs are still together, feet pressing, and hands flip over facing the earth. So the palms are touching the earth. And really we're thinking length and extension as opposed to height. So just inhale, lift head, neck, and shoulders. And then exhale, let the legs and the arms come back. Really reach those arms for the back of the room. 4 more breaths. It's kind of hard for me to talk in this pose, so hug those legs nice and tight. Last breath. And then exhale, release. And turn your gaze over your left shoulder, working to press your right ear into the ground. And take 2 resting breaths. In and out. And notice the difference of how you feel from when you first started. Bring your chin back forward. Leave your big toes touching and your heels spread nice and far apart. That is a way to kind of decompress the sacrum and lower lumbar. For a lot of us who've had lower back injuries, this is known as the McKinsey method, and it is the one thing that actually fixed my low back. So we're going to work a little bit of this. It's a great back strengthener and opener. So just very gently, especially if you have a tender little low back, just inhale, come up. You hug the elbows in, shoulder blades retract down, and your gaze goes forward with a slight chin tuck. Now, many of us might be way down here. That's okay. This counters the forward or anterior motion of the intervertebral discs, known as herniated or bulging discs, and kind of shifts them back into their neutral position. 1 more breath. Good. Now straighten the toes out, come up to hands and knees, bring your feet together, knees together, and then just come back. So this is child's pose, as a lot of you may know it, and this is a more restorative pose, and it's a great counter to all that back bending and strengthening. So just take 3 breaths right here. Yes, that feels yummy. I love that one too. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. So a little cat-cow just to get the energy and prana moving up and down the spine and the chakras. So the initiation comes from the tailbone. As you inhale, the tailbone drops, the gaze comes up. And as you exhale, you press through the tops of the feet and the hands and round, tucking the belly to the spine. Inhale, let the tailbone and the belly go, and then exhale, round. Pull the tailbone in, suck the belly button in, tuck the chin, press through the hands. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. Nicely done. So go ahead and come around and have a seat. So bridge pose. Before we do bridge, just a little word here. No looking side to side. So if you need to watch this, watch this. This is a great little endocrine flush. It's great for internal health. Your feet are hip distance apart. Your gaze is straight up. And you're going to simply press with the feet to lift the hips. Now, we don't want any pressure on the cervical spine. So you can use your hands underneath your low back for support. You can interlace them under the body and also work the shoulders. But the neck is not touching the floor. So you create a little bit of space between the chin and the chest. 3 more breaths right here. Try to relax the buttocks. And then when you release, release upper, middle, and lower. Bring your feet and knees together, hands on the lower belly, a little lower lumbar press. So stabilizes the autonomic nervous system. So inhale, low back loses contact. Exhale, press and tuck the chin. That's it. Inhale and exhale. So great core strengthener as well. One more. Inhale. It's the easiest of core exercises. Exhale. So little supine pigeons across your right ankle over your left thigh. So the ankle's dangling past. And then interlace your hands behind your left thigh. And if you can't quite reach, you might want to get a towel and just use a towel. It will happen. It might take some time. And so you're just going to encourage and invite that left leg into the chest. And as you do, it will open through the right piriformis and hip, the outside of the right hip. Draw the shoulder blades down. 3 more. You're working to have your sacrum or the whole spine on the mat. So even though you're pulling this left leg in, there's a little bit of resistance working to keep the sacrum or the lowest part of the spine down. And then release that leg, shift onto the left hip, and straighten the left leg out. Now, I like to take my right hand and support my right knee. Your right arm goes all the way out shoulder level, and really our thoracic spine needs more mobility, especially with sitting around the computer and driving and all. So try to keep that right shoulder blade planted to the ground, and then just invite the spinal twist to come from all the way from the top through the middle. It might never fully make this full rotation. Don't worry about that. Go to a sweet spot for you that feels comfortable and like it's opening and healing, and breathe there. I like to gaze over my right hand to get that nice stretch in the strap muscles of the neck. One more breath. And then gently go ahead and bring that right knee back. Shift your hips back to center. Hug the right knee in. I like to bring my forehead up to my knee, rounding through the back. And then straighten that front leg. And you can flex the foot or point. And a lot of us, especially runners or athletes, you might be way up here, and that's okay. Don't worry about that. Just work the length of the hamstring from the Achilles all the way up to the glute. And then let that leg lower down. So engage through the core, bend both knees or bring them straight up. Just a little bit of core work, draw bridge. So chin, space between the chin and the chest. You're just going to lower the legs down, engaging through the core, gazing up at your toes. 5. Hug those legs nice and tight. Smiling makes it better. 1 more. And then bring those legs up and give them a little hug. And come on down. Place your right foot on the mat. Switch legs. So left ankle goes over the right thigh. Ankle's dangling past. Interlace the hands behind the right thigh, working to keep the coccyx and the sacrum down. And then just use, I also like to take this elbow, I'm a little more flexible, and kind of nudge that left knee open. Takes it deeper into the external hip muscles. Two more breaths. Last breath in and out. And then release that leg. Shift onto the right hip. Straighten the right leg. Left arm plants out to the side. Gaze over your left hand. And then take a nice little juicy spinal twist. You can also hold and support this knee too, especially if you have a tender low back or any sort of low back injury. One more breath in and out. And then bring that leg back center, square those hips up. Nose comes to the knee and then straighten that leg. 3 breaths right here. In and out. And also you can fully work it like this. I also like to point and flex. Breath in and out. Last breath. And out. And then lower that leg all the way down, straighten both legs out. So this is a very difficult core move, so if you don't want to do that, just bend your knees, bring them straight up in the air. Fingertips reach. They hover about 6 inches above the ground, and lower the legs. So you're just working the core. Breath in. That's 5. You never want that low back to lose contact, especially if you have a low back injury. There are different exercises when you can do that, but for this morning, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to enjoy this nice, easier practice. I think that's 5. And bring your knees in. Give them a little hug. A little wind-relieving pose. You can rock side to side. And then the most important pose, the very most important pose, Savasana. So you should have some time always at the end of any practice to come into stillness and enjoy the fruits of your labor and the opening of your body. So just turn your palms up so that they're receiving. Let your legs kind of splay open to a natural, comfortable position. Take any tension out of the body whatsoever, and then be still. When you're all done your practice, I highly recommend seated meditation every day, but when you're all done your practice, just bend your knees, roll over, push yourself up, and come to a seated position. So, there's a 20-minute practice. I hope it helps you. Don't worry about doing a lot. Do a little every day, and then watch the transformation begin. Namaste.